So I'm going to talk a little bit about technology employee versus technology entrepreneur. Tech employee versus tech entrepreneur, they're both good. The world needs both of them. What the good thing is that it's important to make a choice rather than to fall into one or the other.
Every single day, I'm gonna make something great.
So some people unknowingly fall into just stay in one path and not knowing that there's another path. So I'm just here to pick your brain a little bit and talk a little bit about the differences that exist there, and maybe you can come up with some questions based on what I say today. So between technology and I'm also going to show you here the agenda. I'm going to share a little bit of my story, a little bit about myself, differences between employee versus entrepreneur, skills and education needed to succeed, just some high-level things, and technical positions, technical entrepreneurs, and then we're going to end up with a Q&A and some tips and questions to ask. So, okay, so let's get started. Now, a little bit about myself. My name is Fernando Sosa. I am the owner, CEO of handtech.com. We're an IT consulting company, provide computer maintenance and support to small offices, currently targeting medical offices. And I have a background in software development, and I went to school. I have a computer science degree. I started engineering. I studied engineering for 2 years. So I have a background in software development, engineering, networking. I'm also a project manager, so I have a couple of technical certifications. And on top of that, I have some business experience and different ventures that I started that I'm going to share with you in a little bit. So that's just a little bit of my background. Now, just also to understand in terms of entrepreneur, this was here my first computer. In 1984, I got this computer called the Color Computer 2. And I see a smile here. Do you recognize this one? Yeah. This computer, this was almost 1984, and how many years ago was that? You bought this in Radio Shack. It was an awesome computer. You connected to your TV, and this was my introduction to computers. And thanks to my parents who got this for me, that opened the doors for me, my eyes to computer and technology. This was before the Xbox, before the PlayStation, before all this high-tech iPads, mobile phones, and all that. So the technology was just getting started. Yeah, I have two pictures of it. Here is, on top of it is two joysticks. It's like this little boxes with buttons here is a joystick that I used to play games with. And over here I have a tape recorder. Now, that even tape recorder is ancient. I mean, do you remember seeing tapes with music? Those little things that, well, they used to use that to actually record programs back then. There was no hard drives, no USB drive, no DVD, no. Back then it started with magnetic media and tape. So I had a tape recorder connected to it, and that's where I had all my data and my games. And so, as you can imagine, it's very slow, but it worked. Over here, I have a telephone, a rotary phone, another thing you'll see in a museum, a rotary phone, and something connected to the phone. That's called an acoustic coupler. That was used back then to connect the computer to another network, like an electronic bulletin board. It's kind of like the internet, but it's not like the internet or World Wide Web. That was before that. So they used to use that to connect. So this was just an idea how back. My second computer was a couple of years later, a Tandy 1000, another Radio Shack computer, but this was an upgrade. This was a much advanced computer. It was what's called an IBM compatible PC. And this here, I learned how to program in BASIC, different programming languages, some games, and a lot of new software started to come out. And I learned how to type in this with programs that learn typing tutor programs. It's very basic programs. Over here on the side, you're going to see it has what's called, this is a floppy drive. Here, now, instead of using the tape drive, now you have what's called a floppy disk. And that's also magnetic media, but it's not quite a DVD or a CD, but it's a step behind. But you stored information, you put it in. I think it had a hard drive, this one, at this time. So anyway, this was my second computer, opened my doors even larger. It was, this was a very, very good computer. Now, today, you have a whole bunch of gadgets. You are exposed today to whole bunch of gadgets, technology. It's so much different than how it was when I grew up. And you're so lucky now. Now, because when I grew up, technology was just getting started in terms of being introduced to the market, to the consumers. It was just getting started. It was like the first computers, the first. Now, it's really, computers and technology is evolving. So you're getting the faster computer, the smaller computer, the prettier computer. So when something comes out now, it's typically something that's better. But back then, when I was growing up, it was like the new. It was just getting out there in the market. So the mindset that you have now might be different than what I had before, because now you kind of might get used to computers and used to technology. It's like, oh yeah, there's a computer there, no big deal. Back then, when I saw a computer somewhere, I was like, whoa, and everybody gathered around, and I was like, oh, computer. So now, you see iPads, tablets, so it's very common to see technology here. You have computers in cars, computers all over the place. So it's important for you to pay attention to that. If you are interested in technology, look at technology with a different eyes, not as a consumer. Think of technology as somebody that wants to make something out of it, or wants to improve it, or maybe build a business that's technology related. So when you see something technology, you want to ask yourself questions that maybe you're the one who's going to make something the next big thing, or not necessarily a new thing, but something that you can be successful with. So, okay, so here's an example of a couple of things that I've done in the past. And just to give you an idea, when we're talking about being an entrepreneur and being an employee, I always think about, and people always tell me, oh no, you're an entrepreneur. I didn't ever really say to myself, I'm an entrepreneur, but if I look back in my history, it kind of, yeah, I kind of am. Because ever since I was a young kid, I was always making things. I was always trying to sell things, or trying to make a business out of something, or trying to improve something. If you have that in you, if you think that way, and you see something, you say, hey, I can do that. Or hey, I can make that better. Or hey, I want to try this. If you think that way, you have a creative mind, pay attention to that. And parents, pay attention to that, because you have to just look for the resources and tools that will help you develop those skills, that curiosity. Because otherwise, you can just take it for granted and just let it slide. But you have it in you. You may or may not have it in you to be a creative person, to be an entrepreneur, a technology entrepreneur, or maybe not. Again, it's okay to be tech employee. It's okay to be tech entrepreneur. What's important is that you're happy with your choice, and that you're the best that you can be in whatever choice you make. So I remember when I was I was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. I made a cardboard candy vending machine. A cardboard vending machine. Okay, I remember making a box, putting a little hole where I can put a coin, and then the inside I put some gumballs. And I remember playing with my sister and my cousin where they could put a coin in and the gum came out. And that stayed in my head. You know what? I was so young, and I was just making a little toy, a little vending machine. So I can, that's fine. That was like something that if you have a brother or sister, or you're a parent and you see your kid doing something like that, or wants to do a lemon stand or sell looms or something, pay attention, because they're showing interest in something, and that's something that can grow into something else. I remember making candy, homemade candy. I grew up in the Dominican Republic. There's a candy made out of corn, toasted corn, and you crush it and you mix it with sugar, and it's very unhealthy. And then I sold it to my friends, and I remember selling that to the point where I made enough money where my mother bought me. We went and bought a grinder. Out of the profits, I bought a grinder. So then I started making more candy. So it was a good business. Again, it was just to my friends, so it was no big deal, right? Back then it was no big deal, but it's in me, right? And that you want to look and see if that's in you as well. Then kite building. I remember having a kite competition. I won because the kite flew the highest. And then after that, all my friends wanted to make kites, and so I started making kites with another friend, and we sold a couple of kites. No big deal, but that's just something that says something. Okay, then later in school, in college, I did a business called Collegiate Classifieds, which is a site. I built a site and a service where people can sell their textbooks, used textbooks, very expensive, right? This was before Amazon, before Barnes and Noble, and I built this site and actually did some money doing that. And it was while I was in school. I also did a marketing company called CRS, Consumer Retention Services, it was a desktop publishing company where I did flyers, brochures, catalogs for small businesses. Something that you can do at home with your computer. But it was a business. Later on, I actually got into business. I opened up a bookstore, an actual physical bookstore. It was a religious bookstore, and I sold on the store and I sold online, and I actually built an e-commerce site for the store. And there, I used my technology know-how to not only manage the business, but also sell online, place orders, and I want to show you some examples. These are some of the screenshots. And then I also got into a DVD movie rental business, like Redbox. I used to have a couple of these kiosks in supermarkets, and that was another venture that I got into lasted about 2 years. Then I did a parking finding service, Parking Relief. I'm going to give you a sample of that. It was a service to help people find parking spaces in the city when they're driving. This was an online thing. Again, remember, I have a background in development as well, so I kind of used that into what I was working on. Then I did a daycare. When my son was born, this is my son here, my wife and I decided to open up a daycare, so he was the first client, and then we have a couple of other kids, so we opened a daycare, a couple of years, he grew up, and that was a successful daycare. And again, I applied my technology know-how. I created the website and some technology features behind it. I'm going to give you an example. This is a website of the bookstore. We sold a lot of things. If you see here, I have also hosting, so I actually provided hosting to my clients, which was other churches and groups. So part of the, it was not just one thing. I thought outside of the box and applied my skills to expand it. So that's something that you can think about. Whatever you do, you can think outside of the box. It's not just like following a pattern. So I also had, like, here, look inside. This was actually a webcam where people can click on it and they see actual a video of what's happening in the store. Online chatting. This was AOL back in then. Parking Relief. This was a service that I said about parking. Now I'm going to share with you this little video that I did. Again, this was old. This was like I don't know when. But so it's a little cheesy, but this was something that I did myself just to promote that service. And I just want to just.
Do you park your car in the city streets? You waste a lot of time, gasoline, and even your sanity searching for parking spaces every day? Have you ever been frustrated of circling the neighborhood, looking for parking only to find the car in front of you taking your spot? Have you ever canceled a movie night or dinner plans because you were unable to find a parking space on time? Have you ever spent 30 minutes or more looking for parking inside a shopping mall parking lot? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then ParkingRelief.com is the answer to your parking headaches. Why waste time going in circles? ParkingRelief.com helps people like you find parking spaces before they become available. All you have to do is enter your location and you receive a text message that the vehicle is about to leave. All you do next is drive to the location, wait for the vehicle to leave, and park. Of course, if the parking space is available when you first search, you can go ahead and take it right away. You have nothing to lose. ParkingRelief.com is a unique service that helps people find parking spaces before they become available.
So that was something that I did. I actually did the video. So I experimented with video editing, again, using the technology. Every little piece of technology know-how that I have, I kind of try to put it together and everything. So I'm like a one-man show. So again, this was something, it didn't really took off. It was more of a proof of concept kind of thing. This here is the site of the DVD rental business. You can rent on Foxy, what's available. It was called Cloud9. The daycare website. So that's a little bit about where I'm coming from in terms of talking about why am I talking about being an entrepreneur. Well, being an entrepreneur is a quote here. It's not a job, okay? It's not a full-time or a part-time job. It's more like a lifestyle, okay? So it's a lifestyle, meaning that it's not something you're always doing, like the same thing. It's a lifestyle. That's pretty much sums it up. So this slide here also shows me like what is it to be a tech entrepreneur. You're gonna see a lot of like a fishbowl and somebody fish jumping out. Are you that fish? Okay, think about it. Are you that fish? You're that fish? You think you're great, good, excellent. Why not? Of course. The first step is to recognize it. You know what? Yeah. Why not? Why not? Right? So that's what you have to think about. And it's okay to not be the fish. Okay, let me be clear. You may not be. You may be one of these, and you might like all these buddy fishes here. Okay, it's okay. Just be the best that you can be and be happy. Okay, but if you think you are, go ahead and make the jump. Okay, make the jump and create something. You want to be an entrepreneur, you have to take that leap. Okay, now there's a lot. It's not easy. There's a lot of process. I'm not going to get into details of how you do a particular business, but just to keep that in mind. Some differences here between a tech employee and a tech entrepreneur. Just some characteristics, some traits, high level. Being an employee, a tech employee, has a low risk. Okay, it's not as risky because you have a steady job. You have your paycheck. It's you do what your responsibility is, and you're going to be fine. Okay, that's what a tech it's a low risk. With a tech entrepreneur, it's very risky. Okay, you're a risk taker. As an entrepreneur, you have to be a risk taker because you're trying something new, and it may or may not work. And the income or the success is not guaranteed. Okay, it's not like being an employee. Being an employee, you just have to be a good employee, and that's pretty much it. But with being an entrepreneur, you have to take risks. Okay, the employee, is usually organized and follows the processes. The entrepreneur is creative. The entrepreneur creates things that don't exist, or create things or make them better. Okay, follows instructions. The employee. The entrepreneur is a visionary. Again, it's more of a creative person. A loner, not a bad thing, okay, with the employee, but the tech entrepreneur can't be a loner. The entrepreneur has to be more charismatic. Okay, you have to be more of a people person because you have to be able to sell your ideas. It's not enough for you to make the next best thing, but you have to make other people learn about it and buy into it. So you have to be more charismatic. The tech employee is a doer. The tech entrepreneur is a planner. Certifications. The tech employee requires, to do their job good, technical certifications. The tech entrepreneur doesn't necessarily need to know all the technology. The tech entrepreneur needs to know more about sales and marketing, in my opinion. Yes, it needs to know about what the technology is, but not so low level as a technical employee. That's why the technical entrepreneur will have tech employees working for him or her. Okay? So a tech entrepreneur is responsible to growing the business. So you need to be able to know how to sell and market your product. Okay? Now, some tips and questions to ask yourself. Okay? I said this at the beginning. You should appreciate technology, inside and out. Look at technology from a different view. Okay? Don't just look at this laser pointer and say, this is kind of cool. It's pointing, But think about it. What exactly is happening when I press the button? Is this, look at the shape. Why is it shaped like this? Can it be better? Can it be smaller? Does the battery last? You ask yourself these kind of questions that other people have asked. That's why you always see something that's improved. It's because somebody's thinking about this thing. So you have to think about outside of the box. Don't just take something for granted, okay? What problems does it solve? Those are the kind of questions. What problems does it solve? How can it be better? Who can benefit? Can it scale? Scaling is a big thing because when if you become a tech entrepreneur and you want to make something that can scale, that means that it's not just good for one person, 2 people, 3 people. You want something that a whole community can benefit, a whole country or the world, okay? So can it get big? So that's the scaling. Otherwise, it's going to be small and it's not going to, again, things begin small and that's okay, but can it scale, okay? Can it make a difference, okay? Is it just, some things might not make a difference to you, but it might make a difference to somebody else, Even something as simple as making somebody laugh, does it really make a difference? Well, making people laugh is a difference to some people. So, determining what value does it have. One important thing is to put your ego on check. A lot of entrepreneurs start businesses with their ego in front of them. And they think that their business is the best thing. and everybody's gonna just buy it, it's gonna sell itself, and I'm gonna be very successful. All I need to do is open up a website, open up my store, and people are gonna flood in. Then reality hits, and it's not like that. So you have to be willing to be humble, take advice, get a coach, get a mentor, learn from other people's mistakes. You're going to make mistakes as an entrepreneur, and that's okay, but you have to persevere. Okay? Perseverance is very, very important in anything that you do, even if it's just an employee, but as an entrepreneur more so, because you're going to have more failures than successes. And if you don't persevere, you're never going to get to that success. Okay? You're going to get to failures, but if you don't persevere, you're not going to get to the success. So that requires you putting your ego and taking, making a reality check and not being alone. Having parents that support you, teachers that support you, resources to help you get where you want to go. Avoid the BSOS. That's my acronym for Bright Shiny Object Syndrome. Bright Shiny Object Syndrome, meaning that the next best thing. Some people are entrepreneurs and they start one thing, and oh, this is great, let's start this. And 2 or 3 months later, oh no, let me start this up. This is up. This just came out. The new iPhone came out. Let me do something for this. And then that's like the bright shiny object syndrome that jumps from here to there. Again, you have to pick something, persevere, okay, and then don't jump on the next bright shiny object. I want to show you something that this is a letter. I remember this is a letter, right? Look at the stamp. What date does it have there?
June 10th of 97.
97. This is a certified letter, sealed. It's still sealed. I remember in 1997, I had an idea to create something. It was an invention. And so I followed some process on what an inventor does, and I was in the process of creating a patent for an idea. And one of the things that they recommend, so nobody can steal your idea, or for you to protect your idea, is to mail yourself a certified copy, a certified letter with your idea and everything that you have, and don't open it. So in 1997, I wrote my idea. I don't even remember what I wrote, but I wrote everything here. I mailed it to myself, certified, 1997. I haven't opened it. And it was an idea that, and this was 1997. What's that? Almost 20 years ago. I tell you this because of perseverance. I didn't persevere. I had this idea, and it was not even technology. There could be technology in it, but it was about a hair curler. I used to have long hair, believe it or not, and I used to blow dry my hair with a small curler. Not the big one that the women use, but the smaller one. So I used to blow dry my hair, and when I blow dried, my hair is so short. It was so short that my wrist hurt. So I created, I invented, or I imagined something where I could push a button and the thing would just turn, and I could just blow dry while it's turning. That was a basic idea. So I put the details on it, and I didn't see anything like that back then in 1997. So I created that, and I went through the process, and I never went through. So for different reasons. A couple of years later, I saw an infomercial on TV for the same exact thing. And I was like, oh my God, that was my idea. How many times do you have ideas that you see later on, oh, I thought about that. What's the difference? You thought about it, but the other person did it. Okay? If you have an idea, don't take it for granted. You can do it. You can make it. Okay? Somebody told me, somebody I met, David Allen, he quoted, the mind is a great thing. The mind is meant to create ideas, not to hold them. So if you have an idea, it's not going to be easy, but you need help to follow through. When life happens, because life happens, it's not all easy. But if you have an idea, everybody that's successful has 24 hours a day. Everybody breathes the same air, right? And a lot of people have the same ideas, but not everybody implement them. Okay, so that could be the difference for you. So a lot of magazines that I subscribed in the past and now, and there's other computer magazines. There are a lot of resources, to pick your brains. You're not alone. If you're thinking about this, look for resources. Okay, you're not alone. Coming here is a great thing, but there's other things as well. So keep it going. The Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs has a nice quote here. He says, "I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful is pure perseverance." That was Steve Jobs. Very smart guy, right? So these are, tech, gurus, tech entrepreneurs. Marissa Myers, CEO of Yahoo, Bill Gates, Steve Case, founder of AOL, Sergey, co-founder of Google, Mark Cuban. He does a lot of things. He owns a basketball. He started a broadcast.com. He's a tech mogul. And this guy, I mean, you know this guy, right? Yeah. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook founder. So again, all these people have 24 hours a day. They don't have more time. They breathe the same air. They have all the resources, but a lot of them, they came from nothing and they make it. So you can do the same thing. Okay, it can happen. Or you can just be very good a tech employee, and that's awesome too. Because again, the world needs both. You can't have one without the other. Okay, so. I'm going to open it up to questions. Again, I kind of shared my story. This is I have some material, the stuff that I do to market the business as a technology company. What you look like you are very interested in technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm currently deciding whether or not to go to college for IT or for some other technology-related business.
Okay. And so do you have a hobby?
I am getting into programming right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is holding you back? You're saying you're trying to decide.
I'm just not sure. I think I just need to do some more research and understand where I'm going to be heading if I follow whichever path. And I just need some more time to think about that.
Okay. Now that's good. Now time moves on, so you have all the time in the world, but it comes to a point where there's a saying that says, "Don't get stuck in paralysis by analysis," meaning that don't get stuck just analyzing something. You have to take the step. So set yourself a goal of how long and when is it that you're going to make that decision, and you're going to have to make that decision, make that choice. Sometimes we're going to make a choice that we're not sure, but it's as sure as you're going to be. And it doesn't mean it's going to be the right one. It could be the wrong one. But you have to fall forward fast. Okay? If you're going to fall forward fast. So you have to take the step. And the way to know it is by doing it. So you can be into the technical area, or into the business area, into the management area, or into the non-management area, just operations. So you have to find what is it that you like to do, you enjoy doing it, because you don't want to just do something because it sounds good, it makes money, because that gets old. You want to really enjoy it. So, any questions? Yes.
What happened with your idea about the?
Yeah, that.
If you sent you sent to yourself certified.
Yeah.
They were able to take your idea anyway.
I don't think they took my idea, because again, a lot of people have the same ideas.
Yeah.
This thing about the parking service that I did, I also saw another company after that doing the same exact thing, and actually got it working somewhere. The ideas are not really. You might think it's unique, but other people. The world is so big, and it's like when you search something on the internet. You can search for anything on the internet, you're going to find it. How to do this? Oh, because somebody else already had that problem. The world is weird. There's so many people that it's very hard to find something that's really unique. But the difference is that you implement it, and what's important is how you market it. Because what's successful is not what product is best. What's successful is what product sells. Okay? It's what product can sell, because you can sell something that's no good as a product-wise, but if you're a good marketer and you can sell somebody a pencil and that person buys a pencil and you're the biggest pencil salesperson in the world, it doesn't mean that that's the best pencil. It's just that you made the sale. So that's why I say in terms of being an entrepreneur, it's very good and important to be good in sales and marketing and be a people person so you can sell your idea. Any other questions?
What did you major in college? Do you remember?
I started as engineering. I took 2 years of engineering, And I failed a couple of physics class twice, and I said, this is not for me. And so I took the next because I had all this computer background from a kid, but I also like to open computers and look at it inside the parts, and that's where the engineering part, so I decided to go into engineering. But the physics killed me. So I said, let me take computer science, which doesn't require some of the classes that I'm having a hard time. And so then I switched major to computer science. So technically, I didn't lose 2 years because some of the courses were requirements. And so like I said, I made a choice. It wasn't the one that I stuck to. I had to change later on. So you don't know until you take the step. So, no? Yes?
The computer engineer field,
Yes.
what exactly involves, or what is, after he graduates, what would be his job?
What does a computer engineer do? Or
Exactly, yeah. What kind of job is doing?
computer engineering is very vast. It can branch out into many specialties. It's like a doctor. What does a doctor do? A doctor can specialize in many different areas. A computer engineer can be a software engineer, hardware engineer, network engineer, different parts of engineering is a very vague term. So when you go to school for engineering, you choose a specialty. Like when I went to engineering, I chose electrical engineering. So then as an electrical engineer, I would do circuit boards, designs, the actual insides of the motherboards and things like that. A mechanical engineer is more of a person that it's still engineering, but they do more of the mechanics or industrial engineer, people that do buildings and things like that. So it depends on what engineering. If it's software engineering, when I switched to computer science, my specialty was software. So I became a software engineer. So then I did software development programs. I learned a lot of languages, computer programming languages, and the theory behind it. And so when I finished school, my first job was as a programmer for a bank. I did programs for banks, and that's because I was in that field. So right today, there's different fields. You know, as new technology comes up, like mobile, internet, app development, mobile phone, that's huge. Right now, you know, anybody can pick up mobile app development and do, make a business out of that. You just have to have an idea and a plan on how to do it.